Jasveer Singh with Thought for the Day at 9 minutes to 8.
From the sharing of sexual images to freedom of speech and its abuse to the harm done to children by algorithms that show them material that does them psychological harm, we're all of us trying to cope with social media use and its impact. Over the summer, in the wake of the riots, the Mayor of London made his view clear. There need to be amendments to the Online Safety Act, he said. I think what the government should do very quickly is check if it's fit for purpose. I think it's not fit for purpose. So, what is the government's view? I've been talking to Peter Kyle, the Science, Innovation and Technology Secretary. So first, is Sadiq Khan right?
The review of the Online Safety Act is underway. The trouble with the landscape that we inherited was that we had an Online Safety Act that took a long time to get through, almost 5 years for development and get through Parliament. And then the measures that flowed from it aren't going to come into force until 2026. So not all of it has been consulted on, implemented on, laid before Parliament before we can actually get the powers that we need. So that's the challenge that we have.
So you would accept Sadiq Khan's point that at the moment it is not fit for purpose?
The bill is not fully implemented. And that's the challenge that we have. So when you say fit for purpose, we don't even have all the powers from the Act yet.
But I think what he was suggesting is you will need further powers.
What we are doing is just constantly reviewing the powers that we have. Now, the online world is moving very, very fast. The innovations that are coming out of these companies are moving extremely fast. Therefore, we need to keep on our toes. Now, it's very hard to accept the principle we might have to start legislating before the powers of the previous act have come into force. That's the big fundamental challenge that I have inherited, because if you look at some of the issues about legal but harmful, for example, that was a big part of the bill going through Parliament. It got caught up in the infighting of the Tory party. Kemi Badenoch said that it was legalising or using the law to tackle hurt feelings, and the whole bit of the bill fell. So I've inherited a landscape that's quite lopsided. Not all of the measures have been implemented yet, and therefore I have to make sure I am able to use the powers I do have in a way that makes a difference, which is what I'm trying to do at the moment with intimate image abuse. And then I will assess going forward what powers need to be enforced and what additional powers we might need going into the future.
And when it comes to children, are you tempted at all by what Australia is about to do, which seems to be to ban social media use in those either under 16 or under 14? They haven't settled on the age yet.
I'm really interested in the measures that Prime Minister Albanese is looking at. We don't know what the nature of the pilot is yet, and I'm going to be looking very closely. You know, there is considerable evidence that social media is harming vulnerable young people. It's making some young people increasingly vulnerable. We don't have yet much evidence about what action makes a big difference in response or is indeed effective. So I'm looking very closely at the Australian experience, and I'm open-minded. Of course, I'm going to keep everything on the table going forward because I would do anything to keep young people safe, but it has to be measures that are enforceable and actually make the impact that we're driving towards.
Yeah, and when it comes to measures that are enforceable, what some people say, there was a BBC Panorama on this earlier in the month, on the way in which someone, I think it was a 16-year-old, is recommended images that are increasingly unpleasant and that he, in this case, didn't want to see. And that, of course, is not the simple fact of it being available on social media. It's the algorithms and your power as a government, I suppose our power as a society, to say to the social media companies, you must stop pushing this stuff.
And that's precisely what I'm doing today with intimate image abuse. 1 in 7 women experience the threat of intimate image abuse, or what's commonly called revenge porn. Today, what I'm doing is using those powers that I do have to insist that social media companies use algorithms from the outset in order, and they have to prove they're using their products to avoid this content making it online. When it does make it online, by law, they have to take action very, very swiftly. And then also taking the intent function away from the law when it comes to those people who do upload. So no longer have to prove intent. Any uploading of this sort of material is going to be a criminal offence. What this does is it starts pushing the onus onto tech companies to make sure they prove their products are safe before they are released into the society.
But they're not at the moment, are they? I mean, the fact is that the algorithms push things to people, and the algorithms are doing it in a way that doesn't take regard of people's safety, particularly children.
To date, when it comes to intimate image abuse, no. After this, they will.
But more widely as well.
Yeah. Well, I think what you can see from what I'm trying to do is move the onus away from reaction once these products are released into society, and then we understand the harms, to making sure there is an onus on the tech companies to ensure safety is baked in from the outset before they're released into the public. And increasingly, that's the approach that I'm going to be taking, because we've landed into a situation where tech companies or social media companies are allowed to release into society models which they haven't proven is safe before release, and then we then deal with the harms afterwards. I am moving to a system and making sure we can, over time, get to a place where products are proven safe before they are released into society. Now, the fines that could be levied on tech companies are huge. You know, we're going for 10% of global earnings if they don't take the measures that we are insisting on today to keep women safe, mostly women safe, from intimate image abuse and the resulting impact.
Just a final thought about the power balance, though, that there is between you and them, because you can warn them, you can attack them, you can even fine them, but mostly they're not based here, are they?
That's why working internationally is incredibly important. And when you see the emerging power of AI, for example, the AI Safety Institute that was established by the previous administration, for which we are grateful for, we are investing into the future and making sure that safety when it comes to AI, again, is there at the beginning, so that AI is steered during the phase of it being developed and pre-release. We can only do that by working really effectively globally. So what we're doing is using our institute to work very closely with the US and the EU and other institutes around the world, so that we can work in tandem to ensure that powerful technologies as they're emerging are made safe from the outset. Now, we found these tech companies to be quite open to working with us in this case. We've been very, very fortunate in building strong relationships with our global partners, and this is a model that we need to use increasingly as we go forward, because we cannot act unilaterally in all of these situations. We're doing what we can domestically, but we're recognising that working globally has to be done in certain circumstances, and that's something that I've hit the ground running on
Peter
since getting
Kyle,
this job.
Secretary of State for Science, Innovation and Technology. Thank you very much.